video made it look like we have a lot more fun around here. You're working us too hard. But in all seriousness, thank you for being here today. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I'm Matt McAleer. Look forward to spending the day with you in the evening and around all day for any questions. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for helping us get the message out, reaching people with and helping tell people what Dodge is all about. Without you, it wouldn't be possible. And we're so excited to have you here to share the next generation of Dodge. It has been an incredible 10 plus years. A lot of you were with us, or your contemporaries were with us just about a year ago in Phoenix, where we kicked off the evolution of the muscle car with the Charger Daytona. And that was an incredible experience. And it's been a heck of a year. Now let's talk about that a little bit. We launched Daytona back in January. But we also have done a lot of other things this year. Number 7 on all automotive brands in IQS. The biggest gain of any brand in the industry, climbed 24 spots. Number 2 in J.D. Power's appeal study. And Durango was number 1 in appeal. This has been a great year, mostly on the backs of Durango as we continue to transition and relaunch the next generation muscle. And Durango is a special vehicle. We've repositioned it and we've leaned all in on the one thing that differentiates and separates us in the industry. All Hemi, all the time. Because performance is performance. Whether it's BEV, whether it's SIXPACK we're going to talk about today, whether it's V8, it's what separates Dodge. It's what makes us who we are. And it's led to 13 straight months of year-over sales growth. The best Q3 sales in 20 years, and retail sales are up 30% year to date. Durango is absolutely on tear. And one of the things that's helping differentiate that is jailbreak. For the first time ever, we brought the jailbreak program that we made famous on the outgoing Charger and Challenger on Durango. Because if you're going to have a 710 horsepower supercharged engine, you might as well go all in. And all in is all about personalization. And with the recent announcement, we brought back B5 Blue for the first time since 2018. Over 7 million combinations are now available. Every single one of these is virtually a one-on-one. You can build something special in your garage. Because it's about the power of choice. It's about getting back to letting people have what they want. And nothing talks about letting people have what they want than a muscle car that is absolutely different than anything in the industry. Last December, we got to drive the 670 horsepower Charger Daytona Scat Pack. 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. And if you didn't have the opportunity then, or you haven't had a chance on a media drive, we have some of those around here for you today that you're welcome to experience after you take the SIXPACK out. And that vehicle has been incredible in its own right. It's been a challenge. We brought a muscle car to market in January. It may be the hardest time in the history to launch a muscle car, but very rewarding. 10 best propulsion systems by awards. Ryan will talk today about 10 best interiors and UX award by awards. 25 best sport coupe, ALG's residual value award, performance green car of the year, best car from Sama, best vehicle over 75,000 by the Western Auto Journalist, and best tech with the Fratonic chambered exhaust. Absolutely putting people on notice. And everywhere you go in that vehicle, you get attention. People want to talk about it. And 2 months ago, we just started shipping what we made famous. The world's only 4-door muscle car is back. And the team's going to walk you through that today. While we're launching the 2-door SIXPACK behind me, we'll shortly be coming with the 4-door, and you can see what that's like right over here on one of the Charger Daytonas. And let's talk a little bit about the success of the Daytona. Quarter-over-quarter growth all year long. Q3 was the best sales ever, and the highest share we recorded at 21.6. The perfect transition into what we're here to experience today. horsepower, 531 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds and a quarter mile in 12.2. It is absolutely an incredible vehicle. And to kick things off, I'm going to hand it over to Kevin Hellman to take you through the details.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks again, all you guys, for being here. For those who I haven't met before, my name is Kevin Hellman. I head up the product team on Dodge. And our team, the team that's here, the team that's back in Detroit, we have been looking forward to this day for quite some time, especially when we launched, after launching the Daytona a year ago. Because we always get excited about the next thing, right? So here we are at the next thing after we launched F1. But more because of what these cars mean to the team here and the team back there. These are passion cars for us. We live, we breathe, we die these cars. And we knew that for this one, it was something special. It was a privilege to work on the 8th generation of an icon like the Charger. Many people on the team, maybe yourselves included, grew up with probably some of those earlier generations on their wall, in a poster. They drooled over it in movies like Fast and Furious we showed there, maybe the Duke Boys. But these cars that become cultural icons, not just automotive icons or icons for us on Dodge, they're part of something bigger. And so when you drive these cars, we hope that you really feel what we put into these, because the team that's responsible for these cars has been responsible for the cars that you guys have known and loved before, on the prior generation Charger and Challenger. The ones that have pushed out prior wide bodies, Scat Packs, 1320s, Red Eyes, Super Stocks, Demons. Because it's about that passion to show through. But it's really for our customers, because we know our customers, this is what they expect from us. They're demanding, and we're demanding because of it. We put the plans together to continue to push over and over all the time. But again, it goes back to the customer. If it weren't for the customer, we would be nothing. Matt mentioned it. Our customers breathe and die this, and they continue to push us. And that's why we did what we had to do to protect this car. Which brings us to the multi-energy. It's potentially likely that if it weren't for the Daytona BEV, we may not be here. Because when we're planning this car, we're planning it in a world of miles per gallon versus miles per hour, which is where we play. Cars continue to shift towards SUVs and trucks. But that's always kind of been Dodge's playbook. That's always kind of been our space. To go against the grain, to do something different, to stand out from the crowd, and continue to build out from there. So we leaned all in on multi-energy from day one. But it's really about the sharing that the multi-energy provides. The sharing between the ICE and the BEV, and the 2 or the 4-door like we have here, that commonality gave us the backing that we needed to push forward to protect the future of the muscle car, to protect our 8th generation icon. And you'll see that it's alive and well. You'll probably hear it 5 or 10 times today, the 550 horsepower, HO 6-pack, right? But it's everything else on top of it. These are the things that make this car really put that power to the ground to give you that full experience. Standard mechanical limited slip differential, standard line lock, standard launch control, standard dual mode exhaust, and standard sport mode and a custom mode with selectable rear wheel drive, capable of sending 100% of the power to the rear axle. Still doing muscle car things, still rear wheel drive, alive and well. When we launched the Daytona, again about a year ago, and ever since, I'm sure we've talked, and you've talked to some of the team members, we talked about our golden rules, right? It had to look the part, it had to look like a Dodge, drive like a Dodge, sound like a Dodge, and feel like a Dodge, right? The reality is, feel like a Dodge is kind of the only one that matters. The other 3 are just enablers, right? These are cars that make you feel something. Now, when you turn around and look at it, it makes you feel something. When you have a cold start, it makes you feel good, it sounds good. And then when you get in the driver's seat, as you're heading down to the Dragon, it's gonna feel good while you're driving the car. But that's because these are want cars. Dodge builds want cars. You don't need this car, you don't need this bright orange car, but you want it. And that's what we do. And that's the success that we've had, and we'll continue to build with this car. But for us, muscle car isn't just a performance car or a sports car. It's fewer compromises. This is a car that you can drive every day, enjoy every day, have every day, because we've given it all-wheel drive standard. For improved grip, all-weather performance, which we may need this morning, given that Tennessee's potential warmer weather didn't play out for us today. Best-in-class cargo with the full flat rear seat and the hidden hatch design. And best-in-class rear seat legroom in both the two-door and the four-door. Again, not compromising, giving you the car that you can live with. But eventually, I mean, new cars, right? They gotta go to the old car. But eventually the comparisons are being made, right? And performance talks. So compared to the outgoing Challenger Scat Pack wide body, this car has more power, more torque, is quicker, faster than the outgoing vehicle. In these cars, with the power, with the performance, you have to bring the attitude, you have to bring the personality. And what would we be? We wouldn't be Dodge if we didn't come to market with colors like we've got here, with crazy names that I know my team, and myself included, spend far too much time trying to figure out the right name that you guys can enjoy, that we are proud of. But we've got Ludicrous, we've got Peel Out, we've got an all-new green machine. Unfortunately, we don't have one here this weekend for you, but hopefully you've seen it either at Roadkiller, you get to see it shortly. But it's that fun, it's that personality that we, as the team putting these cars together, want you guys to see, want you guys to feel when you're out there. There is a lot of love, a lot of passion, and a lot of development that goes in here. Package these colors with black tops and demonic red interiors and graphics packages, carbons and suedes. These are all the pieces that our customers want to make these cars their own, to stand out, to be proud of them, to make them part of their personality. So I want to leave you with this. It's been about a year since we launched the Daytona, the beginning of the 8th generation Dodge Charger. We're very excited for you guys to be here today to drive this. About a year in, after 15 years with the old car, wringing them out as much as we could, we have a car, multiple cars, 2 or 4 ICE BEV, with a core lineup that is more powerful and more capable than we had in the past. And I promise you that we are just getting started. So I'm going to hand it over to Artie Moore, the Chief Vehicle Engineer of the Dodge Charger, to give you a little more technical information.
Thanks, Kevin. I have to tell you, I'm super excited to be here today because this is truly the culmination of so much that my team has spent the last few years doing. And we've covered it a little bit, but I really think I want to elaborate just a little bit more on the multi-energy piece, because that's really what this vehicle is all about, flexibility. We may have started with the electric version, the Daytona, but when we sat down and really started thinking about the engineering work for this and what you had to do, we had to consider both. You know, if you're thinking about an electrified car, you see the skateboard type platforms that are out there, but it really would make it very difficult with the prop shaft. Right? So then you have to think about all the different things and the flexibility you want to offer today or downstream. So then you think about the internal combustion engine. So we focused, and you can see on here the pictures of that, the flexibility of that with the internal combustion design around that. And then we gave ourselves the ability to ensure you could bolt up a battery pack and put twin 250 EDMs in it for the electrified version. But we wanted it to also be better than the outgoing model, which means we had to look at the body structure. We had common body structures for the 2-door BEV and the 2-door ICE, but not only that, we then tried to work on the structure so that it had better torsion, better stiffness, and had the ability to get a good basis so that both options could do great when you're driving on the road. This multi-energy really did do that for us. So today you're gonna drive the other version of the one that you drove almost a year ago. So when you have this structure, then what did we pair it with? So we have the engine. 3-liter Hurricane, we've already set it, 550 horsepower, 531 foot-pounds of torque. Twin turbos, 330 PSI boost to just give you that power. At 88% peak torque at 2,500 RPMs. You have 90% torque from 3,000 to 6,000. You're gonna see that today when you're on the tail of the Dragon, when you're gonna balance that speed and you're gonna drive around. We paired it with the new TorqueFlite 8-speed transmission. So those two give you your power. Then from a driveline perspective, we had to sit down and think about what did we want to do. Elevate it to the next level a little bit. all-wheel drive standard, which we thought really gave us the good basis, planting the power to the ground. But we also added front axle disconnect that the wheel ends up at the front for a little bit of fuel efficiency when you're in auto mode. And then we have standard mechanical limited slip. But of course, we wouldn't be Dodge if we didn't have a rear-wheel drive. That is very key. History shows, people show, we talk about it. So T-case opens up in the wet clutch, all 550 horsepower goes straight to the back of the car. It allows to do all the things that everybody likes to do, line lock, launch control, drifting, and donuts. The performance of that system, as you put it together, delivers what we've said: 0 to 60, 3.9 seconds, 12.2 quarter mile, 177 miles an hour top speed. So now that you have the power, we had to sit and think about how we're going to get that power to the ground and make sure that it performs and drives exactly as you expected. Multi-link forged aluminum suspension, and then the Brembo 6-piston front fixed calipers. As we were tuning the suspension itself, we really wanted to consider where we stood. We tried and true many years of the previous model, and we really wanted to make certain that it performed a little better. So if you can see the stats in here, I'm not going to read them off. Better on-center responsiveness, a little bit better ride for shake and impact harshness, and then also improved understeer balance so that you just have that much better feel of the car when you're driving it. And I can tell you, I did the tail driving yesterday, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to see it in the vehicle as you're driving it on the road. But then the last piece of this, it also has to sound, right? Dodges are very, very tried and true. They have to make noise. So on this vehicle, we added a dual mode active exhaust, and we also have active noise cancellation on the car so that we can take away any of the noises that you don't want to have. So you just get the best balanced performance and sound. Now I'm going to end with, before I hand it over to the next speaker, I just want to run you through drive mode so you're a little bit more familiar and for your options today. Auto mode, which is what turns on every day when you turn the car on. Front axle disconnect is available in that mode, and you have split 50-50 all-wheel drive for the vehicle. You have Eco, Wet Snow, and Sport. In Sport mode, which you can do either mode on the tail of the Dragon. I drove it in Sport mode yesterday, which was fun. Front axle disconnect is no longer available. You have 40-60 split front to rear. Partial traction control. Active noise will be open, so that the valve will be open. It'll be a little bit louder than it will be in auto mode, and your rear-wheel drive option is available there. And then lastly, you have custom where you can tweak it just a little bit for yourself. So with that, that's the main technical aspect of this. I'm super excited for you guys to drive this today, and now I'm going to hand it over to Greg, who's going to talk about the exterior.
Sure. Hey everybody. I'm Greg Howell, VP of Design for Dodge brand. I probably don't look familiar. If you guys went to the previous events, you might have seen Scott Kruger. I'm replacing him in the studio. Scott moved on to head of North American Design, so reporting to Ralph. So that's a little bit of housekeeping about us. I'm going to get into the car. I'm going to use more of the car at first and less PowerPoint. I just want to get through kind of from top to bottom, the silhouette of the vehicle. Obviously a very long, lean roofline, very coupe-like appearance at centerline, a very aerodynamic vehicle that is balanced front to back, but also a very large vehicle. So 121-inch wheelbase, 1 inch longer than the outgoing cars, and then you've got basically a wide body on every vehicle. So a fairly large car. I mean, I'm 6'4", and it's up to here on me. You could spend your time trying to apologize about that or design around that, and that's not what we did. We actually embraced it. So a lot of the things that you see happening here were done with size in mind. Like I said, I'll go top down, and then we'll get into what makes a six-pack a six-pack. Again, the roof line, not interrupted by a normal shark fin antenna, aero. If you look close in the deck lid, there's actually a flick, and then the spoiler, all for aero. Can't mention the back without talking about the front because they interact with the motor under here. We could have just shrunk wrapped the motor, but you really can't because what happens up here affects what's going on back there. So actually, in a lot of cases, we're actually plus to the motor, we're a little higher than it just to get the aero right as we go over the windshield and then to the back of the vehicle. And I think you guys will appreciate that. Very high top speed, so you've got to keep all this stuff in mind. I'll go down the side of the car, just super clean, bold design. Heritage space design, not retro. We had some of our younger designers that went to our Heritage Center in Detroit, kind of when this car was just getting going, and they wanted to take the Charger from old and just bring it back into the studio so they could stare at it. And they shut it down in the studio. The leaders of the studio at the time, Scott and Brian, said, no, we're not going to do that. We want to have heritage design. We want you guys to be inspired by those old cars, but we truly do want to make something clean and modern here, and that is the result. So just going down the side of the vehicle, again, super clean, heritage inspired. When you go to a six-pack, you will notice that there are some different wheels choices that are going to come in, some machine wheels, 20-inch wheels, that will give a little bit different look. The side, coming back down the side over here, this thing's designed to be both a two-door and a four-door. Not necessarily the easiest design assignment because they share the DLO shape. Obviously, the quarter is unique between the two, but much of the openings are not. So Brian has some good slides that he'll show you, the kind of the dichotomy between the two that take the big people away when it comes and goes. It's actually quite interesting. And then the bottom of the car, you can see it's kind of, the whole thing is framed by gloss black. So kind of black on top, hiding that roof line, the height there, and then trimming it out on the bottom, kind of hiding some of that height on the bottom. So I'll go to the next slide. We'll get into kind of what makes a six-pack. And when you walk up on the vehicle, it's kind of from this part right here, at this point where you notice what's in the hood. We wanted to remind the owner, the driver, what's under here. So it actually says six-pack. You guys should get some good shots of that. That element does play into the arrow as well, but it's a really cool kind of nod to what's under the hood. It's very thirsty for air, this motor. So you've got a lot of our pin cushion arrows pointing into those openings, whereas on the bed, that's a pass-through, sending air over the hood. Here you're trying to ingest as much air into the hood as possible. So upper cooling, middle slot cooling, lower cooling, brake duct cooling, you guys kind of get where I'm going here. Just a tremendous amount of air we're trying to force under the hood, yet still keep the car balanced. So I'm going to switch around. Not a lot of you sat here, but that's okay. Trap hog, still front and center. Drag strip lighting, very wide read, still front and center. The actual headlights themselves are LED reflectors that were designed, like if you saw us design something in the past, not the too recent past, we would be designing the bezels around the headlights and just making a real meal out of them. These headlights are actually kind of design-wise meant to go away. On that part, they're meant to be a ramp that pass the air through the hood for the R-wing. So different strategy, and hopefully you guys can capture some shots of that. If I go kind of down this side of the vehicle again, some things that are very interesting that you wouldn't normally find on a nice car, but because this was developed both ways, pedestal mirror, more aerodynamic, flush door handles, and then as you get to the back of the car, lots of diffusers along the bottom. And so I'll go to the back right now on the slides, and you can see as we bring in exhaust, we can't forget that the diffuser still is down there, and we have to be cognizant of that. So dual 100mm exhaust, bright and dark, kind of a elliptical type appearance, and then versus the Daytona on the back of the car, we're now embossing Charger. So you guys can get some nice shots of that hopefully today. Yeah, kind of last but not least, there's some housekeeping things. Push. You open this one, fuel fill. If you were to open that one, not a fuel fill, charge port. But again, the things that you worry about when you're designing both cars at the same time. I think with that, I'll hand it over to Ryan because he can really kind of elaborate more on what's going on the inside of the vehicle. And we're both going to be here pretty much all day for you guys. So if you have any questions, all right, thanks.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning, everyone. Excited to get you guys in the Charger. So Ryan Nagoy, head of interior design for our North American brands. I know some of you guys were out here in Phoenix when we were looking at Daytona. I'll talk a little bit about kind of the similarities. I mean, overall, as the team mentioned, we really worked hard up front. We know we were doing both these vehicles. So we worked hard, and everything we were doing from a design perspective was really going to work for both the BEV and the ICE vehicles. So I'll walk you through a little bit, just kind of touching on the historical kind of nomenclature that Greg was talking about with the 68 influence. For us on the interior, that was a big part. We really looked at both the exterior and interior and pulled some of those theme lines for the overall interior design, just to try to get a little bit of a nod of that, so there's a little bit of similarities, a little bit of historical reference. But I think overall we've achieved an interior that's nice and light and thin, but you read some of those key character lines throughout the interior. Overall, from a Dodge perspective, we kind of have some hallmarks that we really like to try to do on all of our interiors. And with Charger Daytona, it really is our next generation of interiors for Dodge. But overall, very dynamic feeling we want with the interior. Driver focus, you see if you've gotten in the Charger Daytona, same thing with Charger here, very driver focused, large screens, the radio tilted a little bit towards you, gives you a little bit of that cockpit feel. And overall, I just think everything we do from the lighting accents that I'll mention in a little bit, just the overall impression that you feel when you're in the interior, is just a visceral feeling. Even when the car's not moving, I think you feel like you're ready to go. So let's talk a little bit just about the overall design. So I mentioned driver focus. We call it a little bit of a pure athletic feeling to the overall interior. I think if I had a prior gen Charger here in Challenger, you'll notice it's fairly thick in the dashboard and the instrument panel. We've worked a lot to kind of lighten that up, just give the overall impression of space, a little bit more athletic feel overall to the interior. It just helps to reduce the overall mass and the overall weight appearance of the interior. Overall, you're going to notice all the vehicles that you get today and all the vehicles that we make for Charger and Daytona, we wrap a lot of the surfaces throughout the interior. So all those touch points that you hit, especially driving the tail of Dragon, you're going to be throwing yourself around a little bit, and I think you really want to hit all those touch zones. And so everything's wrapped surfaces, stitched surfaces on all those kind of key areas: door panels, instrument panel, and center console. Just getting in and out of the vehicle, I want to mention this because I know at first, you're looking for the door handle here and there. To electronic release latches, both exterior and interior wise. I've had this question come up too. There is a manual override. So in case the power ever went out, there is a manual override. It's the front portion of the door panel. But I think that electronic release is really nice. It's nice from an aesthetic perspective, from an interior design perspective, because it just really cleans up the interior. And for us on Charger, it really opens up that space for the lighting of the door panels. Some little subtleties between the interiors for Charger and Daytona. So on the instrument panel, you'll notice all of them said Daytona for the BEV, and now all of these vehicles here say Charger, just a real subtle nod on the interior space. Some other little differences between the vehicles. So another key hallmark of Dodge is that steering wheel. We got a all new top, flat top, flat bottom steering wheel. Really nice, thick section on there. Really feels like an SRT wheel of the past, but now that's on all the Dodge products. So we have our paddles on the vehicle are for shifting paddles. They're a regen for the BEV. On the left-hand side, and I'll touch on this in a little bit, we have our drive mode selector, so definitely play with that. As the team mentioned, the vehicle really changes its overall persona through those drive modes, so that's on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. And then for our BEV products, just as a reminder, on the right-hand side, that was the location for the power shot, especially if you get a chance to jump in a couple of those BEVs today. You can test that out. So another key hallmark is that shifter area. So again, a little bit more driver focused. You'll notice from looking down, even the armrest itself is tilted a little bit, really kind of hugging this all-new pistol grip shifter, which is a key for us. Dodge, it really has a nice rest when you go to put your hand in there. It really just sits right into that shifter. The differences between Charger and Daytona on the shifter is there's a low button right on that shifter, just kind of nestled in right in the back portion of it. We also just do a nice functional grouping with the start button, so everything's right there. And then don't forget, our wireless charger. We're bringing in some new tech into the vehicle. That's up in the storage area up in the front. There's a nice little spot on the left-hand side for other valuables. Let's talk a little bit more about the tech. So you'll be experiencing some of these vehicles today. We come standard with the 10.25 cluster, and you option up to the big 16-inch cluster. And then all of our radios are 12.3 standard. And we got a nice 8-liter head-up display nice, big, bold graphics, especially when you're out there driving today. You want your eyes on the road focused, and that speed and some of the other dynamics are going to be right there in that head-up display. And the two main screens are full array local dimming, which is just a term for us that we use for really deep contrast, nice bright, in terms of the graphics on that screen. So it's a really nice two high definition screens. Here's a better shot of the two clusters kind of side by side. You'll notice it gives this 16-inch also gives the chance a little bit more breadth, a little bit more space on that cluster. Another little feature, and I mentioned some of these things because I know, you get a chance to drive the vehicles, but you don't get a chance to, I think, play with everything that's in the vehicle. So I want to mention on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, there's basically a layout button. So it's that little center, looks like 3 little pages. You hit that and you cycle through the different layouts on the cluster. So you got your traditional classic, you got a more focused digital screen, and then on vehicles you're also equipped to get the navigation right there in the cluster area, which is really nice. A whole host of other features, I won't go through them, but play through that left-hand side of that steering wheel switch, and that'll cycle through a lot of stuff within the cluster. And depending on the drive modes you're in, you're going to see some different things pop up, including race options. Uconnect 5 system, by now I think you've experienced most of our products with the Uconnect 5 system. Dual phone connection, SXM integration, Alexa integration. Some things with the vehicle I do want to mention in that radio space. We have capacitive controls, dedicated HVAC capacitive controls right below the screen. And then vehicles with the heated and ventilated seats are capacitive controls on either side. So a lot of stuff is first surface. You don't have to hunt through the screen to get to a lot of your quick, easy type controls that you want to get into. Touching a little bit on drive modes. So the team mentioned we have 5 drive modes throughout there. So you hit that switch on the left-hand side of the steering wheel there. You hit the center of that. That will pop up the main display in there and can get to all the drive modes. If you just really want to cycle through really quick, you got the arrow buttons left and right. And then you'll notice, as the team mentioned, some things like the Sport pops up with the ability to have the rear wheel drive. And so that's where that is accessed in that drive modes screen. Here's a shot of performance pages. So we got a nice little icon, that's a little icon of a car. That's your dashboard. You can bring that up and brings up performance pages. You can see a whole host of screens there, as well as race options, which give you the ability to turn on line lock and some of the other features that come standard with the car. Another little thing I want to touch on, because I mentioned some of these different screen layouts. So we have a one-button experience with the vehicle that's set up kind of standard automatically, and it means that when you cycle through the drive modes, the different visuals of the cluster and the head-up display are going to change. So you're going to notice that when you're in auto, it might be set up kind of more traditional. When you go into sport, all of a sudden a tap shows up on the head-up display, and even your cluster itself changes. So I think that's a really nice, just experiential thing. Sometimes we get so deep into all these different screens, and I think this is nice that it actually automatically will do it depending on the drive modes that you're in. Going the rest of the cabins, we got nice high back seats. Most of the vehicles you're experiencing today will have those. Fixed headrests, those are first time for us is doing that from Dodge standard. And then visual pass-throughs in the back. We got hard back panels on those high back seats. Just talking about space, we have about 4 inches more space to Challenger in that rear space, which I think is really nice. You really can feel it when you get inside the back of the vehicle. I wanted to touch on that. We have both 2 and 4 door here. Just give you a visual on the changes and also the lack of changes between a 2 and a 4 door. So you'll notice the seating position set up. This is showing a 2 door. I flip to the next slide. You'll just notice those doors are going to shorten a little bit, adds that second rear door, but the occupant position, the basic size and space of the occupant position staying the same, which is really nice. So prior to prior gen Charger, we got more knee clearance. We got more 1-2 couple, which means the distance between the H point, front and second row, is a little bit longer. And then we got little greater shoulder room on that back. So I encourage you guys to get in back of the Chargers today to kind of experience that. When you're back there, look up. A lot of the vehicles we have the fixed glass roof, so a really nice visual appearance on the inside. Really helps to open up and lighten up the space. So another feature of the vehicle, we got our hidden hatch. So I just want to make sure everyone kind of sees that, because I think it's a really nice hallmark of the vehicle, of the hidden hatch. It's just a really nice to make this vehicle functional. You know, I think the vehicle, as Greg mentioned, just feels really nice and sleek from the outside, but you realize how functional the vehicle can be. And you know, you open up that area underneath the cargo floor, you fold those seats down, it gets to be about 127% more storage than the outgoing vehicle. So you really pack a lot into these vehicles, and I think that's a nice kind of feature of Charger, just because it really can be a family hauler. And there's plenty of space for all four wheels and tires if you go to the track. A couple last things I want to talk on lighting. So I think you know, you talk about some of the visceral and that dynamic feeling of the overall interior, and the lighting plays a huge part of it. So we have our molding color details, we have our carbon fiber accents, and this 64 color ambient lighting, which is adjustable by the driver. You can kind of set virtually any color desirable. It also reacts to some of the features, the drive modes. So as you cycle through auto to sport, you're going to notice the lighting's going to change a little bit. You're going to notice when you open the door, all of a sudden the door is going to shine orange on that lighting, kind of give a little bit of a warning. So it's kind of neat that we have a little bit of dynamic lighting events that happen with Charger. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of a hit of the kind of the walk of some of the vehicles that you're going to be seeing today. So on the Scat Packs, they start standard with a leatherette and cloth interior, 10-5-inch cluster. We have a Plus package, which brings in a 16-inch cluster, head-up display, leatherette seating along with that lighting I just showed. And then you can also opt for a high back seat, and both of those are standard in black and then available in our demonic red. And then last but not least, we have our carbon and suede package. Comes in black or demonic red, nice carbon and suede seats. You get carbon accents throughout the interior, and you can see some of the other elements there. So with that, talked through a lot. I know I'm gonna turn it back over to Matt, kind of complete some things, and we'll see you guys out there today driving. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. One of the best things about my job is the fact that I get to be part of the team that gets in these vehicles early and spends a lot of time in them. And you know, Ryan talked about it truly being a family hauler. And I've had the chance to go down and see my son in Indiana. Brought up a 6-hour road trip down and 6 hours back. And I've done that a couple times now. Fully loaded in the back, my son and wife in the back. I mean, it is truly the do anything muscle car. It is a daily driver. It is no longer a compromise between the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive. The seats are incredible. I got over 27 miles to the gallon, which you'll experience today. Well, maybe not, depends on how you drive the tail to drag it. But it is, it's an incredible vehicle, and we're so excited you're here. Let's just quickly go through the lineup. Very simple. We've repositioned things since we met a year ago on the Daytona. Left to right, the Daytona, 670 horsepower, full battery electric, starting at $59,900. The most powerful car in the industry, under $60,000, period. What you're gonna drive today, 550 horsepower, Charger Scat Pack, $54,995. The most powerful car in the industry, available under $55,000. And this standard output, 6-pack, which will go into production early next year, the most standard horsepower on any muscle car at $49,995. 50, 55, 60. You want 4 doors, $2,000 more. That's a marketing message. That's how you get people to wake up and say, Dodge is back. But it's not just charging. The Durango GT, now with the 5.7 liter V8 standard and all-wheel drive, $42,495. The 6-pack, coming in just a few months at 420 horsepower, $49,995. Durango RT 392, coming next year with the legendary 6.4, $49,995. The most horsepower available in the industry under $50,000. Then, the most horsepower available in the industry with the Charger Scat Pack under $55,000. The most horsepower available in the industry under $60,000 with the Daytona BEV. And then you got the legendary, the world's quickest, fastest, most powerful gas SUV on the planet, now at $79,995. That's it. Let's go have some fun driving.